I just absolutely love the architecture of this building. Never ceases to amaze me. Oh yes, and there's the statue of Abraham Lincoln forever looking over Delaware Park. Hello world, it is your Unkle Heavy, and today I'm on location at Buffalo, New York. This behind me is the Buffalo History Museum. Now, this has been here in Delaware Park since around 1862. It was originally constructed for the Pan American Exposition. I've covered this building in earlier vlogs, kind of did a flyby, did a shot of the architecture to show you what it looked like on the outside. Now today, I'm gonna go inside, check out what's going on in there. I know it's a lot of history about Buffalo. It's gonna be a kind of a cool vlog. So, already got my tickets to get in. Let's go see what kind of trouble I can get into. Do come along. Now you can see this is what is considered the back of the museum, but when it was originally opened, this was the main entrance that faced out to Delaware Park, where the Pan American Exposition was taking place. All these grand columns that lead down to this grand entrance. And of course you've got Abraham Lincoln looking over Delaware Park. You can kind of see this is what his view looks like from his perspective. These look like it is completely made out of granite. Man, what a beautiful building. Now I know I've said this about the Science Museum here in Buffalo, but if you were to say, how do you envision a museum to look like? I would say that is what a museum looks like. We're actually going to be going on what is now the front entrance of the building, but at the time of its construction, this was actually the back side of the building. Let's go check this out. I always like to stop and take a look at these. These are actual doors that close. Now they've been replaced by these modern glass doors, but these were the original doors to what was the back of the museum. Two doors. I always like to stop and take a look at this beautiful Steinway piano right here. I've never seen one like that with the built-in ornamental lights, but beautiful grand piano. I've never been in this lecture hall before. This is the first time I've seen it open, and it looks like I'm seeing some organ pipes in the wall. I wonder if it's Wurlitzer. And I have to stop and just have a peek out this back door here. Look at this beautiful view right here. Now, this is actually what's considered the back of the museum now, but during the time of the Pan American Exposition, this was the main entrance. Yeah, definitely the grand entrance. And this main hall is just absolutely beautiful. Again, the dark hardwoods. Always love them. Coming over here to have a look at this beautiful grandfather clock, and it actually appears to be working. You know how I love grandfather clocks. Beautiful. It's actually saying that they're not positive the actual year this was manufactured, but they say this is called a regulator face, and it's unusual because there's 3 different dials that display the time rather than one master dial that shows all 3. I'm trying to get a shot without the glare of that light, but very unique piece. Very tall too. You can see it's well over my head. I like this. It's sort of like an Art Deco sort of lettering here for the elevator, although it's modern, boring elevator. Some indigenous headpieces here. No dates on them. Sort of a model of an indigenous sort of, longhouse. Kind of interesting. I like this view from up above looking down in the main gallery. You can kind of see all the exhibits that sort of extend out of here. Looking across, there's the Ralph Wilson Gallery. I'm imagining that has a lot to do with the Buffalo Bills and Buffalo sports. This is kind of interesting. This is it's called a Fresnel lens, and this actually was on a lighthouse in Buffalo Harbor. That's very cool. I used to wonder how these things can make just a little tiny, basically oil light and make it shine over miles and miles and miles. That's some magnification. This is an old carriage that actually used to belong to Millard Fillmore, the president, while he lived here in Buffalo. Here's a shot in a history of old Fort Niagara. We've been there before. Here is an explanation of the 4 theories of how the city of Buffalo got its name, and nobody seems to know. Now this is an interesting bit of Buffalo history. It says that in 1916, a man by the name of John O'Shea developed a device to clear water from his windshield after getting into a car accident, and he called it the rain rubber and formed what was called the Trico Company, which is still around today, known as the Trico Windshield Wiper Company, right here in Buffalo. Touching a little bit on the Civil War here with a life mask of Lincoln and a draft wheel used in Erie County for picking soldiers. This just says it's a bell from an old locomotive in Erie County. Another Buffalo original, the Larkin Company, which was a soap and mail order company that ran from 1875 to around 1962. Lots of history in our downtown about this company. So these are some artifacts that actually revolve around the assassination of William McKinley. Now, it doesn't say if this was specifically the weapon used, but it is a .32 caliber revolver. I'm guessing it's one that was similar to the one used in the assassination. You can see there's some surgical instruments here that they would have used at the time. And this is the man that assassinated him. He was a self-proclaimed anarchist. He was eventually tried of murder and executed on October 28th, 1901. This is the actual ball and chain that was used to restrain him during his trial. During the time while he was possibly recovering, that Buffalo temporarily became the seat of government for the U.S. Vice President, at the time Vice President Theodore Roosevelt was here, and he was actually inaugurated here once William McKinley passed. This is also a pretty well unknown legacy of Buffalo. The Fisher-Price Company actually did start in East Aurora, which is just outside of Buffalo, but we'll take the credit for it. This is a perfect example of the Pierce Motorette, one of the first Pierce Arrow automobiles manufactured here in Buffalo as well. That's actually kind of a cool little motor there. A little bicycle made by Pierce Arrow right here in Buffalo. So now this is the sports section of Buffalo, and if you're not really familiar with Buffalo and Buffalo teams, you might want to skip ahead, but there's some pretty famous Buffalo jerseys here. Dominic Hasek, Pat LaFontaine, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, Jim Kelly. Got Rene Robert, Rick Martin, Gilbert Perreault. They're known as the French Connection. Of course, O.J. Simpson, let's not forget that he was QB for the Buffalo Bills for a long, long time. Here's a really, really, really old Bills helmet from 1965. Does anybody remember that logo? Now, those that are not familiar with the area, this is a jersey of an announcer, Rick Jenneret. He just retired this year. He's pretty famous for the way he calls hockey around here. And of course his cohort, Rob Ray, he used to be a Sabre back in the day. And now he's an announcer. There's some helmets from the 1990s season. Back when the Bills almost made it through the Super Bowl. Remember that? Does anybody remember that? Yeah. Now this is interesting and a little hard to see. Let's see if I can focus. This is actually a paycheck that was given to Jim Kelly for around $86,000. It was in advance for the 86 season to him. That was his first paycheck. That was a lot of money back then. It's still a lot of money now. These are actually his shoes and his hand warmer as well. Quite the local legend here in Buffalo. So here's an interactive display. It shows how high one could conceivably jump up to catch a pass. So you can run up and give it a try. Here I go. Yeah, I think I hurt myself. Yeah, maybe not such a good idea to give that a shot at my age. Eric Wood's handprint. Look at my hand compared to Eric Wood's. This is Eric Wood here, but yeah, not even close. My gosh, the guy's gigantic. And here's a bust of the man himself, Ralph Wilson. He was the founder of the Buffalo Bills and owner until not that long ago, actually, when he passed. The best part of it all is the bench, right? Sit down on the bench. Go. This is the O'Shea Pioneer Gallery. It depicts rural life from the area from around 200 years ago. Well, this is something I've brought up in the past. You can see this is called a rope bed, and although there's one not present here, there was something called a rope key that would actually tighten up the ropes when you went to sleep, and that's where the expression sleep tight comes from. Also, another bit of nerd trivia there for my IT people. If you ever wonder where the expression boot or reboot comes from, it comes from the fact that you used to live in dirt floors and you always kept the boots by the side of the bed, so when you got out of bed you had to boot up or just simply boot your life. So when they came up with the computer terminology, booting a computer or booting up, rebooting, comes from leaving the boots by the side of the bed. Bet you didn't know that. Nice model of a blacksmith shop here. It's a cute little museum. Famous train room. I don't think they're turned on right now. There's a button here. Doesn't do anything. But still a very cool little model railroad. What's interesting is there are little markers here that represent models of actual areas. And if you look here, here is a lock on the Erie Canal, and we've explored those up in Lockport. Here we have some silos. We toured those as well. Here's a model of the carousel from the Herschel Carousel Museum. Everything is represented in Western New York here. They have a penny press here, and I'm going to actually do it. There it is. That's the penny I got. Cool. And always remember to exit through the gift shop. And then you've got Michelle and my mother and father-in-law are patiently waiting for me to finish filming so we can go get some dinner. Hi guys. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I really enjoyed making it. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for the next episode coming out very, very soon. Till then, signing off from Buffalo, New York. Bye-bye.